Hi, and welcome to MTOP's videos on the City of Yes, economic text amendments. We're trying in this video to summarize over 1,100 proposed changes that are being considered to happen in our community based upon the commercial businesses in New York City. And so we're just going to get right into it. Oh, and my name is Alicia Boyd. Okay, so there's 1,100 proposals. We're trying to make it easier for you guys by creating a graph. And if you like this video, please share it. These are the terms that I'm going to go through very quickly. You can come back to this page, but it's basically on the graph. This is the graph. These are the things that are being proposed that have never been allowed. These are the things that are restricted to a specific area or district. These are the things that you have to go through a public review process. These are the things down here that are administrative. And all of these changes are now going to be either as of right, the red indicates the new proposed changes, or administrative. There will be nothing going through the yellow and nothing being restricted into the districts. So I'm just going to follow each category. Never allowed. Community, if you live in a community, you might go walk down the street on top. Well, the current law basically says that, if you are going to build on that first floor, which is the red, if you look at my arrow, they are very restrictive types of businesses. They're very low key businesses like a lawyer's office. And then on the second floor, which is this classified as the second floor, is not even allowed. It's never been allowed. And so that's about to change, but all of the businesses that are currently existing on the first floor now could be on the ground floor, where you walking, and then could now be on the first floor and the second floor. The other thing that was never allowed is casinos. We never allowed casinos in. However, the state has changed that and is allowing 3 casinos into our community. And the new text amendments will allow them to be as of right, so that we will not have, it will be the state making all the decisions about that casino and its parameters. And we would just have to accept whatever and there'll be no community input. There would be nobody reviewing that. It would be an as of right. So we're moving from never having to exist to completely as of right. And the other is another issue that's never been allowed is commercial deliveries inside of apartment buildings. You're allowed to have personal deliveries, but not commercial deliveries. And now that's going to be allowed. The other thing that has never been allowed is if you are in a residential neighborhood. So that means you're walking and you don't see any commercial businesses because it's all apartments or private homes. That's probably a residential district, and you're not allowed to have businesses there. That's about to change. They're about to allow businesses inside of residential. And this is a major change here, right? Because it's going to change the fabric of your neighborhood. And then you might actually also go into a neighborhood that's residential and see businesses, right? And so you're kind of like, how did that happen? Well, that's because they've been grandfathered in. When the changes happened in 1961, if there was a business in the residential district, it was allowed to stay. However, there was a provision that after 2 years, it needed to convert back to residential. Well, that grandfathered in provision is now being removed. So now it can exist forever currently underneath this change. Also, the other change is small businesses. Small businesses were never allowed inside of apartment buildings, inside of private homes, or inside of apartment buildings, or inside of private apartment houses. So now a small business now can exist inside of somebody's apartment building, as well as in a small, and as well as in a house. This has never been allowed, but now it will be allowed. And there's a picture of a lab inside of somebody's private home, which can now happen. The other category is districts. We have a lot of districts that really separate certain types of industries and certain types of businesses into a specific space. And so what are some of these restrictions? The laboratories, for example, laboratories can be dangerous. They can have a lot of air pollution and, you know, they deal with a lot of, you know, volatile chemicals. And so they are only restricted into manufacturing businesses. Well, that's about to be undone. Also, amusement parks. Amusement park is only one place that an amusement park can actually be in, and that's in Coney Island. Well, now the change is now it could be everywhere. You know, it could, you know, a smaller size in a smaller district and a large one in a larger district, but they now can be everywhere, and that's the change. And then the heavy manufacturing and the light manufacturing. The heavy manufacturing is only restricted to what we call an M3 district, and now they could be anywhere. They're coming out of their districts. And then the light manufacturing can be in an M1, M2, and M3 district. Those will be able to come out and be inside of residential apartments. So they're coming out of their restrictive districts and now going into the community. The other thing is, this is a very common situation. If you own a car, you kind of know where to go to get repairs. They're normally on certain corridors and not everywhere, right? And this is important because, you know, these car dealerships and these car places, they have cars everywhere on the sidewalks and stuff like that. And so it's not a walking area. It's really just bring your car, drop it off, come back. And you're not allowed on a lot of retail, a lot of, you know, walking traffic. These car repair shops are not allowed. That's about to change. And that change will definitely affect how you experience your current commercial corridors. Also, businesses on all floors. Only in special districts are you allowed to have businesses on every floor of a residential apartment. That's about to change. And now they will be allowing businesses on every floor if the building is tall enough. And also on the rooftop. And remember, those businesses now also include the manufacturing businesses, the laboratories, the light and heavy manufacturing businesses. So there could be a lot of industries now living side by side with you, along with all the traffic that gets generated, along with the deliveries. You know, there is some restrictions where, you know, you have to have, if it's a large enough building, you have to have a separate entrance. But then, you know, it's still in your residential space, and all of the traffic that gets done will, you know, impact that. The other thing is home businesses. Home businesses are, you know, we call them, there used to be restrictions, like you could not do a jewelry making, for example, because the products that a jeweler makes is flammable. They have very toxic waste that comes from jewelry making. Now that will be allowed. You know, beauty parlors will not be allowed. Nail salons will not be allowed. But in fact, any small business will be allowed. You know, and they moved it from only, you know, one person occupancy, like only one person can be there, to three. Now, you know, 3 people, you can hire 3 people. So that means you hire 3 people and then you have 2 people who are, you could have 5 people working in a business space, because the 2 people might live together. And then 40, and as long as it's 49% of your apartment can be used, or your house, your private house. And there's no size limit. There used to be a size limit, and now it doesn't matter. Your business will be the size in which you decide it is based upon, you know, the 49% of it. The other issue is the EULA process. Now, this is a very important process, and even though there's only one major change to it, that major change is very, very important. And this is bulk modifications. Now, that's a word that most people don't understand, but let me just explain it a little bit to you. if you could just stay with me. And that is because most applications, when they want to change, when a developer wants to come in and change something and build something bigger and bulkier and not have to have it as much parking spaces, or wants to negotiate the community facilities that they have to provide, is done through bulk modifications. So most of your applications will include, these bulk changes. They are now trying to remove that requirement that those bulk modifications have to go through the community board and the city council, to it being purely administrative. And that means in the hands of the mayor, because the mayor controls the city agencies. Now, this is very important because bulk modifications can really change the way in which a building resides in your neighborhood. Right? People are very concerned about the way that their neighborhood looks, making sure that, there's some level of conformity, that, because this makes a good experience. You want these developments that are coming in to blend in with the community. Well, that happens with bulk restrictions. Now you remove the community input and the city council weighing in, and now it's whatever the developer wants to maximize their profit and not necessarily have to come in and conform itself. For example, they might want to not have to have setbacks where you have to have greenery. They might want to build right up to their property line, which could really make a major difference in the way in which your community looks. They may not want to do parking, for example. They have to provide a certain amount of parking if you're coming in. You got a 100-story building. You got 500 apartments. Give up some parking, people. But no. Bulk modifications will reduce that. You don't have to have parking. And so there's a lot of issues that the community will have no say over when it comes to these development projects, if this provision, and basically it would really eliminate the land use review process that the communities depend upon in order to be able to ensure that development that's coming in is going to be conforming to the existing parameters that exist in the community. So this is very, very important. And the last thing is discretionary administrative process. There's been a lot of complaints about, the dancing. Oh, we can't dance. Well, that's not necessarily true. It's commercial and C8 districts that don't have any residential, right? You can dance till 4 o'clock in the morning. But if you want to go into other commercial corridors, right? You want to go into other commercial streets, like those commercial overlays that we showed you before, where, the residential is on the top and the commercial is on the bottom, you have to get a permit. You have to go through a discretionary. Now, small businesses tend not to want to do that, right? Because it can be time consuming, and you might have to hire a lawyer and da. So for the most part, you don't have dancing, even though there are places where there is dancing, because there's a business that did go through the process and did get the permit. So that's about to be done away with, right? They're about to, anywhere you want, including those apartment buildings where you can have a small business, including on the rooftops, including on the first and second floors of residential buildings, you can now have dancing, and to whatever time, right? We know that the law allows 4 a.m. So now, one thing that while everybody's looking at the legs and the dancing, everybody's forgetting live music. How did we forget that? Live music. Live music is also restricted. It's restricted just like the dancing is restricted. It can be in C8 that don't have C8 that don't have commercial, that residential, or you can ask for a special permit to be able to do live music. Now that's being done away with. And one of the fallacies that was being sent around was that, oh, these are regulations from the 1960s, which was not true. These regulations were put in effect in the 1980s because there were so many complaints, not about the dancing, it was about the live music. And a lot of the noise complaints. There was so much that the current mayor has said, okay, we're going to restrict this. We're just not going to allow you to have live music because, small little bars and cafes, they want to do live music. And it was really being, invasive. And so they made these restrictions that you can be in certain places as of right, or you have to get a permit. And now that is being done away with. So here comes live music again inside those residential buildings, which you now can have them on every floor, and those private apartments, and specifically on those private blocks, those homeowners can now have a private, live music in their backyard for their business. This, you can really change the way in which New Yorkers live and experience their environment by this change. And let's see, what can you do? Well, you need to stay involved, and you want to spread the word, let people know about these proposed changes. We are in 2024. City Council will be voting on this sometime in the spring of 2024. So get involved, reach out to your City Council person, share this video, information is power, subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay abreast, and like this video, it's important. Like us, let us know that we're doing a good job and that, you want us to continue to get ahead and inform you in this way. And finally, who are we? MTOP, the Movement to Protect the People. We're a community-based grassroots organization that's been in existence for over 10 years. We're in the Crown Heights Flatbush neighborhood. We are the experts, so to speak, activists on zoning. We filed lawsuits as pro se litigants. We've been successful at stopping, we were one of the first communities of color to stop a massive rezoning. And we stopped a certified application by the Department of City Planning in regards to the Book of Botanic Gardens by filing a lawsuit in that space as well. And maybe we'll have a video about that so that you can know what we've done. But for now, we're focusing on the city of Yes. For more information, to watch more videos, to also, we do these in email format as well. Go to the website, www.mtopp.org, or contact us at 718-703-3086. And we look forward to seeing you again. And thanks again for coming.